Hello, everyone. This is your host Elias once again back with another preview episode of the week for the Crystal Palace game and discussing some of the weekly Spurs news, as we always do. I didn't do this show last week, guys, because last week, yeah, there was some other stuff going on and all that. I was moving house and all that. That's why you can see my background is not different this week. I've abandoned that black background and that red chair that I used to have, about which Kuva and Bobby used to cry quite a bit. That red chair is no longer there, guys. I've left that house and I've gotten a new chair, which is not red. And yeah, life is doing good. I moved to a new place, trying to adjust in and all that. But yeah, life would go continue on like that as well. I'll be doing the regular stuff as usual. And enough about me. Now let's go on to talk about our guest. So I've got a very special guest today. He is another one of the young YouTubers, and as you all know, I love all these young lads on YouTube who have been doing really a great, fantastic job. Whether it be Harry from Scarface First Talk, Dan from Dan DHFC, and I have another one today, another friend of ours in the community. His name is Robbie, and he's from the channel Lily White Lane. If you haven't already, go and subscribe, a like to his channel as well. So without further ado, Robbie, come on, take it away. How are you doing?
Yeah, absolute pleasure to be on the channel today. I'm doing fine, thanks. And yeah, really looking forward to the show today. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to it as well. So yeah, you have been on YouTube for quite long, is it? I suppose. How long have you been on
Yeah.
YouTube?
Well, I've only been doing the Spurs thing for a couple of years, but before that I was doing all kinds of YouTube. I remember doing sort of a back garden wrestling thing with my mates for a few years, and before that I did funny videos on YouTube. But I've been doing the Spurs YouTube for a couple of years now, and I love it. I genuinely love it. I love interacting with other Spurs fans. I think it's fantastic from all across the world, and yeah,
Really, you
I
love
I
interacting
really
with
enjoy
Spurs
being on
fans? I
YouTube.
don't. Just kidding. Okay. Uh, so you used to do wrestling, backyard wrestling. Wow, that sounds even more fun, I would say. Are you into wrestling as well?
Yeah, I do like my wrestling. I don't watch it as much as I used to before, but I like the WWE, and I often go back and watch some of the old matches. But yeah, it was just something I did for fun for a few years on YouTube. Me and some mates, we started just we were like, because at the time they had these backyard wrestling videos on YouTube from these American little companies and stuff, and I thought that looks quite fun. So me and my mates, we sort of mucked around in my back garden at the time. Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. We had all sorts of matches and championship titles. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot, and we never had to talk about the negativity and the sadness that is Tottenham Hotspur right now. So there was positives to it.
Yeah, man. Maybe I should start a wrestling channel as well, or something that talks anything other than Tottenham Hotspur. But
Get more
somehow
enjoyment.
we yeah, it's enjoyment. Like I'm kind of like into badminton as well. Like now, for example, the Asia Championship is coming, and then Asian Games
Oh
are
yeah,
happening this year as well. So that kind of stuff would have been cool. Maybe I should do some Asian Games discussions. Uh,
definitely. Yeah.
uh, yeah, maybe I should start a channel when Asian Games start, just to discuss Asian Games and whatever's happening in there. But and let's see, it might do well. Who knows? But Robbie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Have you been a Spurs fan for quite long? I can see a picture behind you. You're quite young back in there, and there's
Yeah.
somebody with you. Who's that actually with you in that picture?
Well, that photo there, that's me and a boxer called Tony Bellew. I met the guy. I went to Soccer AM, which is it's a British morning show they do on Saturdays. It's ending this year, sadly, but
Oh,
yeah, Tony Bellew, he's an ex boxer, beat David Hay a couple of times, and I like my boxing as well. So yeah,
I can
but
see you're kind of
to
into a
tell you
lot
a
of
little
those
bit of
physical
sorry,
sports. I can see you're
yeah, no, I love
quite a bit into the physical sports.
yeah, no, I love my sports. I love my sports, but currently I'm 15, a month away from turning 16. I love sports, spending time with family and friends, and yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
I see. How long have you been sporting Spurs? 15 years, 16 years?
All my life, mate. All my life since I was too young to remember. The first day there's a photo of me. I'll have to try and find it sometime. But there's a photo of me on the day after I was born with a Spurs shirt on. But it's a family thing. It's a family thing. Tottenham. My dad supported Tottenham, and he supported Spurs because his dad and my granddad supported Tottenham. So yeah, it's a family thing, and I've just been brought up to be a Spurs fan. And look, as much as I moan, as much as I
The
complain, I wouldn't
second
have it
day of
anyway.
your
Spurs,
life, you started suffering, and you're glad about
my
it.
whole life, mate. My whole
Your
life I've
whole
been
life,
suffering.
you were
But
marked
yeah,
to
no,
go through suffering, even when you were in your mother's womb. Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look
That's
though, I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way. As bad as Spurs are.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way as well. But yeah, the difference about me is I choose to suffer, but you were predestined to suffer, as what I can see. But maybe yeah, in a way I was predestined to suffer as well. If I go into that religion talk, but I'm not gonna go there. But do you play football as well, other than boxing, wrestling? How often do you play football with your family, friends?
Yeah, I like playing football. I've never been the best at football. I'll tell you that. I've always been more interested in the coaching side of things. Which reminds me, once I finish a part of my education this year, I'm going to look into getting into coaching any way I can. And Stel from Tottenham away, he's helped me out with that a little bit. But look, yeah, football's always been a part of my life, whether I'm playing it or watching it. And like I say, I've never been that good at football, but I get enjoyment out of playing football. It's a fun thing to do with your mates. I used to play for the school team as well, until I got too many red cards and my petulance came out and I lost it a little bit. But
Are you
yeah,
are
no, I
you
used to play for a
are you an
local team as well.
aggressive player? Are you an aggressive player who
Yeah,
would
mate.
take in
So
tackles and then get red carded?
so it would be me and my best mate who would play centre back normally, and yeah, I got a few too many sending offs to tell you that. A few too many sending offs.
I can but I think you might still be better than Eric Dyer at making tackles.
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's not a
guessing.
difficult task though, is it? It's not a difficult task. My nan could defend better than Eric Dyer with a jam sandwich in her hands, right? She's in her 80s, so it's not a difficult task to defend better than Eric Dyer.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that not many in the Spurs squad can still defend better than Eric Dyer. You have
No.
Sanchez who still cannot defend better than Eric Dyer either.
Yeah,
So that's like, yeah, what kind of defenders do we have in our Spurs squad? It's
honestly.
always a shame. So you're a center back. Wow, then you must be pretty tall as well. How tall are you at 15? Don't tell me
I'm
you are taller
I'm
than
not that
five
tall,
feet
if I'm
eight.
honest. I don't know my exact height. I think I'm currently something like 5'8", 5'9". I'm not exactly sure, but
Okay, you are
yeah, I
not that
play.
tall.
No, I'm not exactly tall. I'm not quite Lissandro Martinez level, but yeah, I enjoy playing football. I do enjoy playing football. I enjoy, whether you're
Yeah,
playing it
because I'm five
competitively
feet
for.
seven and I'm 23. So at 15, if you're 5 feet eight, that's pretty good. I think you can still grow like for 3, 4 more years. I think you can still grow up to like six
Yeah,
feet two or 6 feet three. It's possible.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah,
but us, me being a 5 feet eight, it's tough, man. Seriously, the girls don't like the shorter guys these days, so it's tough for
yeah.
me to find a partner. uh, but anyways, that's just life of a short man like me. uh and the other day, sometimes I was actually in comments and somebody was joking with me, no, you are not 5 feet and on all that. uh yeah, so I get mentored all the time due to my height. People's 11 years old kids are taller than me. uh
It's only
but
a bit of
yeah,
banter though at the end of the day. Only a bit
yeah,
of
it's
banter.
it's it's a bit of a mentor, and yeah, I don't mind it pretty much. I'm quite secure about it. Actually, the thing is, my brothers are now. I'm the eldest of the brothers as well, so I have two younger
Oh
brothers who
yeah,
are all taller than me as well. And then my father is quite tall too. My mother is a bit short, so I think I took the genes of my mom's side a bit,
yeah. Genes of your
probably.
mum. Yeah.
So yeah. So Robbie, tell us, how have you been? What do you make of this Spurs season so far, and all the news, Conte sacking, um, a lot of things that took place. Then Stellini got sacked. Then Ryan Mason has taken over. He experimented with a back four. No, sorry, it was Stellini who experimented that back four and all that. What do you make of the last 2 weeks that all that has happened? Where do you stand in all that?
It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. There's no other way of putting it. I mean, it's just a sad thing about this club. You come into every season with expectation and excitement, and you just end up getting let down. But this season, it started positively. We were winning games. We won a couple of games in style, and then it just all went tragically downhill. It's debated. I've seen Spurs fans debate when our season went downhill. I'd say it was as early as when we lost 3-1 to Arsenal last, I think it was the beginning of November last year. Honestly, people are saying when we lost 2-0 to them lot. I think it's when we lost to them at the Emirates, because since then it's just been bad decision after bad decision from the ownership. And in terms of Conte sacking, look, I thought the sad thing about it was there was no other option at the end of his reign than to sack him because of the position we were in. But the reason that we were in the position we were in was because of Daniel Levy. Yet again, in my opinion, not backing another manager properly. And there's no other way of looking at it than 15 managers have been at Spurs, maybe even more now. Conte and Jose, 2 serial winners, have won everywhere they've been apart from Spurs. And how can 15 managers all be the problem at the club? That's my philosophy on it. Director of football thing, that's a bit of a joke as well. Like I say, if this was a FIFA career mode simulation, I'll get till the end of the season, get a new manager in, and just get on with it next season, because it's just painful week in, week out at the minute.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a rather new Spurs fan, compared to you, who has been suffering all his life. But even if I look at it, like, this thing is a mess. I mean, I'm getting sick of it pretty much. Like, who does that? We haven't had a season that where we have had a full manager. We tend to bottle a bit too much now. I mean, I know sometimes we say that Arsenal are bigger bottle-ups, and they are, yes, because they bottle bigger things. But we are no
I
longer
agree
those
with
things
you.
as well. And then we bottle like little things. Like, I mean, that game at the weekend, you had to just defend for like 10 seconds, or I think something like that, 10 or 20 more seconds. You have to hold the game, and you end up conceding a goal. I'm like, who does that seriously? Like,
It's
only at
ridiculous.
Tottenham Hotspur it can happen, and they are like stupid mistakes, foolish
Yeah.
mistakes. That goal that Jota scored was such a foolish one. I mean, I understand that, yes, there's a narrative going around, and I was one of them, that yes, Jota should have been sent off and all that. But seriously, these guys are stupid. If not for Jota, someone else would have scored that goal as well. Like,
Yeah.
who does that? And what do you make of it? Like, let's say this whole situation now, the managers and all that. Recently, I think we are
I
now in
mean,
with Zabi Alonso as well, and then the other thing is you have um, Nagelsmann linked to you. There are rumors about that sporting manager coming in as well. What do you make of all that? Like, Arne Slot and all that. Who do you think might come in summer to Spurs, and then Poch is going to Chelsea? What do you make of all that discussion that's going around, the managerial discussions, and Scott Munn coming in? Let me know your thoughts. Like,
it's
who
just
would you
another.
rather have as a manager, as a footballing director?
It's just another manager merry-go-round. I mean, when I started the YouTube, I remember ranting about it when we sacked Jose, and we were in this same position of people posting videos such as like day 45 not having a manager, and we had Ryan Mason just like we do now. I mean, you can sack manager after manager. The manager's not the issue at the club. I'm sorry. And if we're going to appoint an interim, don't appoint Stellini, appoint Mason. If you're looking to appoint an interim, and this might sound funny to some people, appoint someone like a Big Sam, someone who can at least shore up the most unsurable defence in the league a little bit, and maybe pick up a couple of points till the end of the season. But I just think it's been a joke. But in terms of director of
I think
football,
I think appointing Big Sam would have been a bigger joke in a way. Like, I mean, I know what you mean, but then you're like, oh, Spurs appointing Big Sam and all that. That
it
would
would
have
have
been a
been a
bit of a.
joke, but we wouldn't have lost 6-1 at Newcastle with Big Sam. We would have only lost. Still probably would have lost, but it would have been a 1 or 2-0 scrappy win. And then, yeah, okay, Big Sam's not the best, but I would have taken him over Mason or Stellini. But in terms of new manager, look, there's a few. I can't really give you a verdict, if I'm being honest, on who I want as a new director of football, because I don't know that many directors of football across the footballing world. But in terms of new manager, a lot of people saying Enrique. I can't see how you can get this Spurs team right now playing tiki-taka football. I think we need someone who could rebuild the squad.
It can happen. It can happen, Robbie. You just have to he just have to reinvent tiki taka with Sanchez, Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, and
That's the thing,
Bissouma.
though. It's like it's
You,
like
you you will see
we
a new formation of tiki taka there.
yeah, all sorts of tiki taka in terms of passing it into your own net. That's what it would be if we attempted right now. But look, in terms of new manager,
It would be something like the chicken tiki taka is. You know what is chicken tiki taka?
yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's a joke. In terms of new manager, though, there'd be two people that I'd be thinking of. The first one for me would be Nagelsmann. I do like Nagelsmann. I think he's young. I think he can play an exciting brand of football, and I think he has the ability to redevelop the squad. And yeah, I like him. I don't really get why he was sacked from Bayern. You've seen where they've sacked him now. They're doing far worse with Tuchel, who's also a top manager. But yeah, Nagelsmann would be probably top of my list. The second one that a lot of people, would probably raise their eyebrow to, like The Rock. I'd say Ange Postecoglou at Celtic. And a lot of people, when I've even said this on my own videos and other streams, a lot of people have went, "Oh, Postecoglou, it's Celtic, Scottish League, different." The guy has the ability to change a club around in a way. I really like some of the football he's been playing with not the best players. Let's be honest, Celtic don't have the most amazing squad. He's got them playing some really good football. And me having an Irish connection and most of my family being Irish, I get to see a lot of the Celtic games because family members or friends are watching them. And yeah, I really like Postecoglou. I really like the football he plays. I think some of the players he's brought in and developed have been fantastic. So Postecoglou or Nagelsmann, they'd be my two options.
No managers can change this team. The words of Conte will ring in every Spurs fan. Levy needs to know to fuck off. Until then, nothing happens. What is fuck off? I guess you're trying to say f off. I get it. By the way, is it really Sim or Ben? By the way, I just want to ask you guys. Uh, just want to know, is it Sim or Ben? Do you know? By the way, Robbie, is this Sim or Ben's real account?
What's that? I don't know, mate. I don't know. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
no, I mean, I completely agree. Like, as long as the Levy is there, unless Levy totally step aside,
Yeah.
nothing is gonna change in this club. And well, now recently, I want to hear from you a bit about Nagelsmann. I think you have already described. What do you think about Xabi Alonso? The job that he has done at Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, he has not done as great as someone like Nagelsmann, but Nagelsmann has a relatively better squad that he inherited at Bayern. What do you think of Xabi Alonso? Like, he's a manager who has done pretty well at Leverkusen. The other thing about him is that he has that Premier League experience as a player. I guess he used to play for Liverpool.
Yeah.
He has played in other leagues as well. He has that experience of playing at a big level as a player. He plays three at the back, which is the current system that our squad is kind of built around as well. So let's say if he comes in, it won't be that big of a change as well for us. If he comes in, he would inherit a squad like which has three at the back. You kind of change like one or two more players and add in one more or two more player, rather than making a full shift when you have like someone who plays tiki taka like Enrique. You have to change the squad kind of like fully and reset. Whereas with someone like Zabi, you can just buy a wing back or defender and something like that, and then things may work relatively better. What do you make of that particular choice?
Yeah, no, I like the job that Alonso's done at Leverkusen. He's brought through some good players there, the likes of Diaby. And yeah, it's another manager similarly to Postecoglou, obviously a different environment in the German league, who's able to bring through young talent, which I think is probably maybe the best thing we can do in this situation. We need to hit a banker like we did with Pochettino, and obviously that's going to be a struggle. And we'll wait and see what happens. But Alonso, I like the job he's done at Leverkusen. I do. He wouldn't be my top pick, or he wouldn't be in my top two picks, like I said to you there, which would be Postecoglou or Nagelsmann. But he's not one that if we appointed him, I'd be ranting and raving about. Like I would some other managers that have been linked. I do quite like the guy. Like I said, like you say, he's got the experience in the Premier League. But it's getting to a point now where we're being linked with managers, and I'm like, I almost feel bad for the managers, which I shouldn't really be saying, but like managers like Enrique, I almost think, does he he comes to Spurs and then ruins his reputation a little bit. I genuinely think, in terms of managers, we won't have a properly successful one until the ownership changes. There's been 15 managers, like I say. I think it's 60 now with Conte's departure. And you're telling me that not one of them, not one of these managers, has
Is good
been
enough.
successful, and that's all down to the manager?
It can't be right. I mean, that's why it's kind of funny, like when people say that okay, Levy has done a lot of bad, but yet he brought in all the top managers, and before that, you wouldn't get these names to come to Spurs and all that. Uh, in my opinion, I mean, it's kind of nonsense. Like, what's the point of bringing in top managers when you're not willing to give the tools that they need? Because definitely, a top manager demands a top salary. Yes, that's something that Levy does well, but what's the point, man? Seriously, I mean, I don't get it. And by the way, big up
Yeah,
Fresh. Good to see you here. And come on, Arsenal. Arsenal is gonna bottle the league. Fresh. Don't root for that. Don't be too surprised in the end if City
yeah.
wins the league. Don't be too surprised, bro. I've been telling you for a while. Arsenal is gonna bottle the league. Uh, so yeah, man. What one other thing that I wanted to ask you particularly is, do you think Zabi compared to Nagelsmann is a better option, or do you think is like they are both like kind of the same level? Because lately I've been following some of the Twitter comments as well, and all over social media as well, since we have been linked with Zabi. Uh, I don't know how you pronounce it, Jabi, or do you call it Zabi? Uh,
I call him
XAB,
Xavi. I say
Javi,
Xavi.
Javi. Is he a better choice than Nagelsmann, or is it just that is people just hyping him up because of his Premier League experience, and because he's worked with some top class teams? What do you make of that, Robbie?
Yeah, I think it could be that, but I'd say Nagelsmann has done slightly more than Xavi. I think Nagelsmann did the sort of job that Xavi's done now at Leipzig, and then he moved on to Bayern and done really well there. So I'd say Nagelsmann, even though he's young, has slightly more experience than Xavi. But yeah, he's got that Premier League experience. But I said the similar thing with Company, man. These sort of managers, if we brought them in, they could do a very good job. They could be easily attracted to the likes of Man City, Liverpool, because they've got the connections to those clubs. So people talk about Vincent Company. The thing for me about Company, which is a different manager we've been linked with, okay, maybe he could rebuild us, and sort things out of the football club. But I keep on saying, we bring Company in. He's only going to be waiting for that Man City call. He's only going to be doing a good job at Spurs so he can get that call, in my opinion, from the club that he loves and the club that loves him, Manchester City, to come in. It's the same with Xavi in a way. But yeah, I'd say Nagelsmann's done slightly more than Xavi. But yeah, I do like the job. I do like the job that he's done at Leverkusen. And like I say, I wouldn't be dismissive of the idea of him coming to Spurs like I would other managers.
Yep. And I think the other thing about both of them is they both kind of play like a three at the back. But the
Yeah,
thing about Nagelsmann is he rely heavily on his midfield. His three at the back is usually more towards 3-5-2, 3-4-1-1. That sort of, sorry, 3-5-1-1. That sort of a system he plays, where he plays like five
yeah,
midfielders. So you need like more midfielders in the system, and then I think he kind of relies a bit on someone like Thomas Muller, who is more like a number 10 player as well, which is the main thing that he relied on heavily in his job uh, at Bayern. Whereas I think Zabi is pretty much like the kind of football that Tuchel plays, a bit more defensive
yeah,
and then counter attacking, 3-4-2-1, which is what Conte was trying to do as well here. Uh, different I mean, it's the same formation, different styles, different tactics. They kind of like that. Like we all know that the Italian tactics are slightly more firm, whereas the Germans, they tend to change things a little bit more. Both have its pros and cons, and I think in a way, when it comes to Spurs, it's not too much about shape already. It's a lot about the mentality that we have in our squad. And what do you make of it? Like, you have been a Spurs fan much longer than me. Do you think lately the mentality of the Spurs, what could be the reason why players do have this mediocre mentality? like why they don't perform well under pressure. Why is it that they have become so selfish? Like what Conte said in his interview as well, that these players have become selfish. They are selfish in a way. See, the other thing he said was that these players, they don't like to play under pressure. They crumble under pressure. Uh,
You spot on.
if as an athlete you have that those issues, he's spot on. Yes, I do agree with that. If as an athlete you have these problems, there must be some underlying issue behind that as well. Like why has it become part of a club culture? Because not many of these players are have been at Spurs for like 5 6 years. Most of them are, but quite a number of them are new ones as well. But we even see the new ones, they come in, they tend to get worse or kind of like bad when they join us. Like you can see the
Yeah.
likes of players like Kulusevski, he's kind of getting there. The other person now
Yeah.
I'm kind of concerned about is Pierre Emil Hoiberg. He's getting there as well. Pedro Porro looks
Mm.
kind of like he just joined us like a few months ago, and he tends to be crumbling under a bit of pressure. Emerson Royale, the likes of Romero. What do you make of it, Robbie? Like, why has this clumsiness and why has this poor mentality become the part of the club's culture?
Look, I haven't even seen, the whole of Levy's tenure, but what I will say is, for me, the culture leads back to Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy's the one who has come to Tottenham Hotspur, and Enoch are the ones who have come to Tottenham Hotspur and been there for 20 years. And since we've won one Carabao Cup, they want you to forget about the success we had in the 90s. They want you to forget about the success we had in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. And that's why there's this mentality. That's why there's this Spursy culture. Because since they've come in, they've not backed manager after manager properly enough. And now it's a thing. Now the culture of Spurs is almost losing and bottling in a way. And for me, leaving Enoch have brought that to the club. I genuinely believe that. I think they're the ones who have appointed, like I say, manager after manager, who at times hasn't been good enough or hasn't had the full backing that they need. And in terms of the players as well, there's definitely an issue there. Everyone takes blame at the football club. The reason we have this mentality issue. The main man who takes the most amount of blame for me is the chairman, Daniel Levy, because you want to blame the players, you want to blame the manager. He's the one who brings in the players and appoints the manager. But I think a lot of the players right now have to take a lot of responsibility. I think a lot of them are weak-minded, and I think a lot of them have been allowed to get away with it. Why do we still have Eric Dyer here at the football club when we've known that this guy
Exactly.
isn't good enough? So that's down to Daniel Levy. Why do we have Sanchez at the football club when we know this guy isn't good enough? Why do we have the likes of Tanganga? And people go, no, you're being too harsh on him. No, I'm not. But the guy was, he's a youth prospect in 2019. 4 years later, he's not done anything. Joe Rodon, another one. Why do we still have these players at the football club who aren't good enough? That's down to Daniel Levy. That is, when you want to blame the players or the manager, this is what I always say. Who appoints the manager and who brings in the player? It all leads back to
Big
Bowley himself
up.
as the
Bob, by the
chairman of
way,
the football
haven't
club.
you seen my improvement? I have left that. The red chair, by the way, is no longer there. That red chair is gone, Bob. Big up to you. This improvement.
Big up.
I burned that Arsenal shirt as well. Just so you know. Never mind, this is just me and Bob. Uh, I mean, I completely agree with you. And like you said, that Eric Dyer, why Eric Dyer is still there. Do you think that this club mentality now falls down to the fact that these players, despite the fact that they underperform, they have been clumsy, they have been making all those mistakes, uh, yet they are allowed to be at the club, yet they are there, yet they are there in a way, their contracts are being renewed. Like recently, we saw Ben Davis' contract was
Ridiculous.
renewed. Uh, do you think that kind of gives them like a freeway? Like, okay, what's wrong? Like, even if we don't win, even if we don't perform well, our contracts are gonna get renewed over like one-off performances. We are just being the nice guys
Yeah.
and all that, and then our contracts are just gonna get renewed anyway. So why bother? Do you think it could be that as well?
Yeah, mate, it's just a joke. It's a joke of a football club. I'm looking at the news coming out over the last few weeks that Dyer's contract may be renewed, and I'm just looking at that thinking that's the issue at the football club. The fact we've got owners who don't have a clue about the football side of things. They might with the business side of things, but they don't have a clue about the football side of things. Hence the fact they're trying to renew Dyer's contract. The guy's been so bad year after year, making mistake after mistake after mistake. And you're looking at this team now, and I've said it a few times, you've got a world-class attack, Champions League level attack, yet a championship level defence. And that's down to Daniel Levy. All this squad really needed this season under Conte at the beginning was maybe a new centre-back and a new wing-back. And then we could have actually pushed on, I genuinely believe, for a title. Yet we didn't, because the owners weren't willing to back yet another serial winner, because Daniel Levy knows best, doesn't he? And we're left with the calamity that is the club right now, and it's just so painful. It's so painful to watch. It's so painful to see. And yeah, I don't understand it. Why are we renewing Eric Dyer's contract? We've seen year after year the guy ain't good enough, and we're stuck with these players and this dead wood, the likes of Sanchez, the likes of Dyer, because the owners don't have a clue about the football side of things. They don't. If they did sell these players, like year after year, they're letting us down. It's just so painful to watch. It's so painful to see, and especially when you see the effort that Harry Kane puts in, the effort, and whilst he hasn't really done it this season, Son puts in, and some of our top players put in, and week after week they're just let down by the shitter in defence and the terrible defending. It just hurts to see, man. And I genuinely think if Harry Kane goes to Man United now, I'll clap him off. And a lot of fans, might be a bit salty about that. I don't get how he can be. The guy's given service for 8 years now to this club, and all they've done is let him down. All the owners have done by let him down. And that's what the owners have done. Harry Kane's been surrounded by players who are nowhere near his level. And you're looking at him, the camera cuts to him after Liverpool score that winner, and he just looks so depressed. And it's like, the guy's fought so hard, so have the other players going forward, to bring it back to 3-3 just for a lapse in concentration defensively again. It all leads back to Levy, the fact we've still got this dead wood at the club that consistently lets down the top players, and the fact we're not willing to buy a couple more players to really push on. It's upsetting, man. It really is upsetting.
Yeah, man, it is upsetting. By the way, let me just say hi to some people who have just joined us.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there, mate. I get too involved in it.
Your rant is great. 10 item. He's a Newcastle fan. Big up. Really needed you guys to draw against Liverpool, but yeah. It was it would have been a great result to kind of draw against Liverpool. But yeah, Liverpool has a double now over us this season. Last season we drew 2 games, but it gets worse, man. Seriously. But I'm surprised that actually we scored those 2 goals somehow, and our XG looked better. There are some positives actually under Mason, and there are some negatives as well. I would say that our XG has improved, but on the other hand, I would still say our defense has looked so bad. Really, it has looked way worse than it was under Conte.
No manager can fix the defense.
Yep. No. Even I don't think even Jesus can fix this defense. What's the point? I say big up, bro. Big up. Sorry, man. I know you said hello. I did saw your hello, but it's just that I was listening to Robbie, so I couldn't. Yeah, my apologies. Now going into my next point was that the other issue that I noticed very favorably in the squad also is as you mentioned, Daniel Levy and his structure as well, the footballing structure. And incompetence at the club is another thing as well. One particular example that I would give is that Matt Doherty deal in the January. Like, we were trying to loan him out and all that, and then in the end we realized that we can't loan him out because we have too many players out on loan, and then we had to just let him go on a free. Like, at this level, who makes this kind of a mistake? Seriously, that's something like, if it's a loss of like few million, like you could have made like 15-20 million on a player like him. And like, do you think that from top to bottom we have a culture of incompetence as well at the club?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think the ownership, is terrible. I think, the director of football we had in Fabio Paratici is a fraud. I think the players don't care. I think managers have been consistently let down. It's hard to find a positive in this club. But yeah, I do think incompetence is an issue. I think, when you're looking at Doherty leaving on the last day and just getting rid of him like that, not even trying to get any money for him. And this is why I despise people going, Don Paratici, this, that, Paratici's cooking. He's burnt it. he's burnt what he's cooking. You know,
Yeah, man.
Paratici, he's
Those channels who said about this, like, I mean, there are a few on YouTube. Irish Hospital being
yeah.
one of them. Sorry, they were the ones like, oh, the Don Partici agenda. Oh my goodness, it used to hurt my ears so badly. Like,
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. It
it
really
is
is
frustrating,
frustrating.
man.
I think with Paratici though, you know, oh, Paratici's clearing out the deadwood, all of this. It's like, he didn't clear out any deadwood. We've got the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso coming back this summer. All he's done is postponed
Regulon.
the clearing out of the deadwood and made it harder for us to get rid of players we don't want this summer. That's all Paratici's done. So I'm not hearing any of this Don Paratici. First off, the guy's a convicted criminal. Second off, all he did, like I say there, was postpone, you know, players the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso leaving the club and just loaned them out for a season. You know,
Exactly,
he didn't
man.
clear out any deadwood.
Like seriously, I mean, there are some happy clappers everywhere who just clap on every positive thing and hype it up. So it
Yeah,
let's just understand them a bit, for the sake of understanding them. But let me look at some of the Arnie Shaw is great defensively. I don't think I'll necessarily agree with that. I think Arnie Shaw is a bit more of a control pace manager. He knows like where to change his tactics, where to change his shape,
yeah.
how to put up a proper shape. He's, I think, in that way, like his football is not really, I would say, a defensive form of football. I guess he knows how to. I guess his rotational play is good. The Dutch league is stronger than the championship, so Arne Slot winning the Dutch league is far superior to company winning the championship. I 100% agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
we have seen that with the likes of Eric Ten Hag, so definitely I agree with that. Ten Hag is a class manager, and Ten Hag is given Ten Hag and Slot were, I think, at one point like one of the
And to think
competitors.
we turned Ten Hag down, to think we turned him down in an interview because he didn't speak well. And now you're looking at the job he's doing, you know, won a Carabao Cup already. They might go on to win an FA Cup. It shows how incompetent, like you say, this ownership is. The fact that we interviewed this guy, decided not to appoint him because he didn't speak well. I mean,
I
it's a
think
joke.
his issue was that we were looking more at the likes of Conte joining us rather than Ten Hag. So I think that was the main issue. Uh,
Yeah,
because when Nuno left as well, we were still considering Ten Hag that back then as well. Uh, I mean, from the sounds of it, I think when Levy hired Paratici that time, his eyes were set that he wanted the Paratici and Conte pair to kind of work together. That's just my
yeah,
opinion, by the way. I could be wrong, uh, because we did inquire about Conte, but then he was not available in summer. So then we had to
oh,
hire
yeah.
Nuno, and Nuno didn't work well for us, and he got sacked. So it just made sense. But yeah, I I feel that yeah, Ten Hag would have been a good manager for us. A good proper project manager, a good proper on the day self manager as well, who can bring in like glory at the time as well. Like he would have done well in the cup competitions like FA Cup or Carabao Cup. Like I completely agree with you. He's that sort of
Do you know
manager,
the
and yeah,
sad
what
thing though, Elias? The sad thing is that you're looking at the likes of Nuno, who did so badly for us, and you're looking at him now. And I know I believe it's the Saudi Arabian league he's manager in, but you're seeing him yesterday giving the fist pump to the fans and enjoying life again, enjoying football. It feels like the likes of Nuno, the likes of Jose, when they joined us, didn't enjoy the football from a manager's perspective. I mean, you're looking at Nuno now giving the fist pumps to the fans, you know, doing a great job there. You're looking at Jose Mourinho as well, who's went to Roma. What a job he's done, and he looks like he's enjoying himself. You're
do you
looking at
know
that
that
passion.
Nuno
We
is
didn't
winning the
see that.
league? Do you know Nuno is winning the league over the team that Ronaldo plays for? He has
I know. I
more.
saw that. I
Yes,
saw
you
that.
saw the league table, right? So, like I mean, even with when he was with Wolves, he wasn't really like a really bad manager. But I think at Spurs, he just didn't fit the system and all of that. Like at Spurs, he was really bad. But I mean, I was one of those people who really didn't like Nuno in the beginning. I was a new fan, so I thought like, yeah, just this guy just doesn't suit us. But in a way, first three games were good, and then all that his tactics became a bit too predictable. I was not a fan, but I'm kind of happy for him actually at Saudi Arabia. But yeah, what's the point? I would say no point signing a big name manager because he won't be back fully. We need a manager that can improve the draws. I completely agree with you there. What's the point?
Yeah. Spot on.
Paratici was dreadful with only a few signings, improving the first team 11. The first team 11 out of 17 signings were really bad. In fact, I think more than that. I would say 14 of his 17 signings were bad, in my
Yeah,
opinion. I only rate the few signings that I rate that he made was one was that Romero signing,
yeah,
and then the other one was the Bentancur and Kulusevski signing. And if you count all those three signings, they were part of the US scandal. Actually, basically, it was just to clear off the records there. So it makes sense that basically he was a fraud. The only three signings that he did well, because you know that Romero was a UA player who went to Atlanta under the name and all that,
yeah. He was
and
alone there.
suddenly
Yeah,
so I think you would have heard that story as well. It was all basically a fraud. So it just makes sense to me. Um, what do you make of this guy called Scott M, who has joined us? Scott Munn. I joke about it with Scott M. That is you. What do you
yeah.
think this guy would do in the in 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 Premier League as well and in European football, because he doesn't obviously have any experience managing in Europe. He is from Australia. And if I'm not mistaken, he and Daniel Levy were seen yesterday at an airport at some brewery. Have you seen that picture? Where
No, I
I
haven't. I haven't.
oh, you haven't seen the picture? Actually, just check it in the Tottenham away chat. Uh, Daniel Levy was not wearing an undergarments. You can see his butt in that picture as well.
Yeah,
Uh, so I kind of made fun of that part a little bit. And Daniel Levy is so stingy; he cannot even afford an underwear. That's what we all need to know. But jokes
yeah.
aside, what do you make of this guy? Like, what would he bring to this team? Like, do you see any improvements coming under Scott Munn? Let me know your thoughts, bro.
Look, I'll be honest with you, Elias. I didn't know anything about him before we appointed him, but I did a little bit of research because I did a video on my own channel about it, and from what I looked at, he did a good job at Melbourne FC. But for crying out loud, it's Melbourne FC. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's done a good job there. I could honestly, and I'm not mocking the Australian League, but I reckon I could do a decent job at Melbourne FC. Fair enough. The guy might be all right, but does he have much experience in any top leagues at any competitive level? Not really. Not really. I mean, the Australian League, yes, it's a competitive league in terms of you've got different teams every year, contending for the title, but not a top European club. And to join a club like Spurs, especially with the crisis we're in right now, I think we needed someone someone with more experience than this guy does have, and someone who's dealt with big clubs and sort of changed them around in the European League. This guy's got no experience in European football, and he's joined a club. And look at the job he's got to do in shipping out some of the players we've got right now. But it seems to me, I'll be honest with you, like a bit of a smokescreen. I think we appointed this guy. It was very ironic. We appointed this guy a couple of days after the controversy with Paratici, and I think it was a bit of a smokescreen to try and take fans' mind off that. Same as I think a lot of the stuff after the Newcastle game was also a smokescreen. But yeah, I don't know too much about the guy, but the fact he's only really been at Melbourne FC, I think
It
that
tells you a
sort of
lot
tells
about
you enough
it.
that he's not ready.
Exactly, man. I mean, I wouldn't have had just some nobody joining us going into this. And yeah, I think we have pretty much discussed most of the recent news surrounding the club. Whatever's happening. There's a question here. The Scottish League is so bang average now. Exactly, man. There's a question. Will you keep Jets fans Rodon and Hill? Conte never use them in his squad. Loan them out. What do you think about their future? Do you want them in any of them in squad next season? For me, I think I will keep Jets, Spence, and Rodon. Um, these three players particularly, I might give them one more season on loan and see how they are doing in some clubs. Might try to work out their deals a little bit, send them, like, let's say, if a slightly better club, slightly more under pressure club if possible. I might try to send them to something like Serie A clubs, or and learn a bit of stuff there, or if possible, like, I might send one of them to a Premier League club as well. Like, let's say I would try to test how is Rodon in a Premier League club, like send him to one of those teams like Nottingham Forest, or one of the lower legal lower table teams, Nottingham Forest or you likes of Bournemouth or Brentford, one of those teams, and see how he does as a centre back in Premier League and
Yeah.
see. Brian Hill maybe not that much. I think he will struggle in Premier League definitely with his physicality. But Jet Spence and Rodon, yeah, I might give them one more season and see where they are at. Uh, what do I think about their future? I think some Rodon and Spence may have a bit of future. Hill maybe not. I think Hill has had plenty of time in Tottenham and in the other clubs as well, and I don't think he has performed that well in my opinion. But what do you think, Robbie? Let me know your thoughts as well.
Look, I like Spence. I mean, it's another one with Conte. Everyone criticised Conte for leaving Spence out, and he's gone to France and been left out of the squad a few times and not played very well. And it's one of those where you sort of look back on it, like a lot of what the Italian said at Spurs and going, was probably right with that
Not
one.
Wrexham.
But I agree with you. I'd give Jed Spence another go. I'd say loan him out to a Premier League club, someone like a Palace or a Wolves. I think would be perfect for Jed Spence. And yeah, the same with Brian Hill. See if he can adapt to Premier League football with a team slightly lower in the league. A few months ago, I would have said Brian Hill straight out the door, but he had a couple of decent cameos a couple of months ago. He did against that in that 4-0 win against Palace and a couple of the games. I didn't think he was that bad. So Hill, I'd do the same. I'd probably loan him to another Premier League club. Rodon's one of those. I'll be honest with you. I don't know about him. We signed him 2 years ago. He's older than I thought he was. I believe he's mid-20s now, 25, 26. And yeah, I think the guy's had a few chances in the Prem. He's not been brilliant. He's not been brilliant on loan either. So I'd probably sell Rodon and loan out Hill and Jed Spence to another Prem club. Give him a couple of games where we can in the cup game when they come back to Spurs. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But yeah, Spence, I'd keep him at the club for sure out of those two.
I think for Spence, I would try and loan him to Syria, and see how he does as a wing back there, how he adapts there as a
Yeah,
wing back. That might transform him. See the manager as well who takes him on, because I think Spence in a way he does have a room for improvement definitely, but he's not a player who's ready to play in the big club. But I think Syria, we know that they are known for developing the defenders, so I would send him there. Hill maybe I would think either championship or either Premier League, one of the clubs there, and same for Joe Rodon as well. Like see how he does as a centre back in Premier League. Uh, but yeah, I think we got a few more minutes left for the show. Spurs versus Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson reunited with his favorite Willie. We all know, and all the jokes about Roy Hodgson and his Willie are coming back. Wilfred Zaha, which I'm talking about, not Roy Hodgson's actual Willie. Uh, and what do you make of it? Roy Hodgson has not, when he was at Palace with us, he has always been a bit of a pain in the ass. The kind of football he plays, of course, his experience comes in as well. And now he's back at Palace. What do you make of it, man? Do you
look,
think that
I think Hodgson. Sorry, Lars.
do you think yeah I think basically where I was going is, do you think that he can upset us at home now that recently our home run has not been that bad, like a draw against United and a couple of wins? Do you think it would disrupt that home run?
Yeah, I genuinely think it could. I think a lot of people are coming into this game with slightly more confidence than the last few, purely because they're looking at Palace as just a mid-table club and judging it off the table position, and purely because they're looking at Crystal Palace and Spurs and going, Spurs should be the favourites in this game. But I think Palace are more well organised. I think they're able to score more goals and defend better. I think they could come to our stadium and very well get a 1 or 2-0 win. Yes, it would be scrappy and we would get pasted like the other games, but I think they have enough to soak up our pressure. And yeah, I think their defence is much more organised. The likes of Mark Guehi, what a player he is. I mean, I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't go somewhere else in the summer. Joachim Anderson, another very, very good centre back. They've got Tyreek Mitchell, but Roy Hodgson, I mean, he's done a brilliant job. He's done an absolutely brilliant job since coming into Palace. You know, came into that club where they were deep in that relegation battle, and you look at the points they're on now, you'd say they're definitely safe. I mean, that 4-3 win on the weekend, that was a thrilling game. Played really, really well in that, by the way. Really, really good attacking football. The 5-1 at Leeds. They've not been narrowly beaten teams like Roy Hodgson normally does. Maybe because they haven't played the top team yet. But normally Roy you associate with that scrappy 1-0, just like you do with the likes of Neil Warnock and Sam Allardyce. But yeah, 4-3 and a 5-1 in there as well. He's got them playing some really good football, and I wouldn't be surprised if we lose on Saturday, especially because Roy's one of our bogey managers. But yeah, I'm not very hopeful, if I'm honest, for this Saturday's game.
What do you think would be the system Mason would play? Do you think he would still stick to his three at the back, or do you think he would try and change things up with three at the back? Sorry, at four at the back again. Maybe like what still he needed, but I think we have seen that four at the back clearly doesn't work for us. Do you think he might try something like 3-5-2? Do you think he might try a different personnel in the squad, like maybe instead of Kulusevski, he might start Richarlison because he scored a goal lately for us, or he might bring in Danjuma. Where do you stand on that?
Look, we could have 20 players to choose from in the formation. I still think Tottenham Hotspur would end up conceding quite a few goals in that game, because what system does Mason go with? I mean, I don't envy his position. He's done an okay job since he come in, but I really, really don't envy his position. You look, we've played a back three at times this season, lost and defended poorly. We've played a back four a couple of times, lost 6-1 in our most recent game. Playing a back four, I don't really know what system to go with if you're Mason. I mean, will he change it up a bit? Will he go for a back four? I think we won't see another back four for the rest of the season, at least starting with one after the tragedy and the massacre.
Until we have some replenishment in the squad in summer, right? I guess
Exactly.
because we really don't have the personnel to play back at the four, in my opinion. I think
We cannot have. Yeah, we conceded 4 goals. 4 goals with
five goals in 20
defenders and 3 centre backs. How are we going to end up defending? With 2, with Dyer not even surrounded by 2 people by his side. And something that annoys me about Dyer as well, that just does my head in. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I've said it on a few of my videos. He's constantly pointing, telling people where to go. It's like, just piss off and do your own job. He's constantly pointing at everyone. It's like, how can you tell other people what they should be doing right when you're not doing it yourself? He's like the worst leader I've ever seen, like David Brent.
I completely agree with you, and I think that's another problem with him is attitude. Like if you are not performing well and you're supposed to be the leader of the back line, I think that is the problem, because he is that perceived leader of the back line because of, I think, the time that he has been with our club. So if he's that bad, like, what is in there, man?
He's like David Brent from The Office. He's a shit boss.
Exactly, man. I want to answer some of the comments. Most of the YouTube Spurs fans rate Hill, Sim and Ben. We are from We Are Tottenham TV. Irish Hotspurs, Dave and Jack from Oozing Expressions rates him. They want to give him a chance. Okay, look, most of the YouTube fans rates Hill. I don't really rate Hill. I'll be honest about it. I think he has some room to improve a lot. Not a big fan of him. I think, in my opinion, he's a championship level player. Ben from We Are Tottenham TV, Sim and Ben. I don't think Sim and Ben rate him really highly, but at point that yes, they wanted to give him a chance, because I go on their shows quite regularly. They are not like massive fans of him. Irish Hotspurs, Dave and Jack. Those two are happy clappers. They even rated Fabio Paratici. They were the ones who were calling him Don Paratici. So, nah, I wouldn't change my opinion, or I wouldn't pay much attention to what Dave and Jack thinks. Oozing Expression, that guy, I watch him a bit, but I haven't heard much from him on his opinions about Brian Hill. So they want to give him chances. I would give him chances at another club. If he does extensively well on his loan, then maybe I'll consider him. But nah, not at Tottenham. I won't bring him back for the next season. That's my opinion.
You don't go on Expressions channel ever. Well, at least I don't for analysis. If I'm going on Expressions channel, it's more for humor.
Yeah, he's more of a comedy actually, and more of like entertainment. Yeah. I don't think he's very good with his footballing opinions. Like,
not really analysis, no.
Like I think I've hardly watched him. Like, I've hardly watched a full stream done by Expressions. I'll be honest about it.
I
Uh,
mean, the guy's hilarious. The guy's
yeah, he's
genuinely hilarious.
hilarious
When I
indeed.
went to Spurs, I went to a game, and obviously, so when I go to Spurs, I haven't been recently because I don't really want to go the way it's going this season, and my views on the ownership. But I went earlier this season, and I've got family members who are season ticket holders, and they literally two sit 2 rows in front of Expressions. You'd think he's a character. He's not. We're there after the game, and I'm recording a video after we won 1-0 against Wolves, and the guy's just shouting in front of us and going, hi ho, Troops is a pussy, yo. I mean, he's not a character. That's genuinely how he is.
Yeah, he's more of an entertainer, I will say, but nothing more than that. He's one of those like he get high views due to due to his expressions, I would say, that he put up on the
Yeah,
screen and all of that shit. Roy Hodgson is shit manager over a long season. He Palsa getting a manager, or they'll be relegation candidate. I wouldn't say necessarily they'll be relegation candidate. I think they appointed Roy Hodgson this season to avoid relegation. This season,
yeah,
they wanted
and
to
he's
be
done a
safe
great
in their
job.
position, and he has done so far better than his last few months when he was at Palace back then, or at Watford. But I completely agree that Roy Hodgson is not the kind of manager who survives long season at clubs. Like at this point, I think he's a bit old. He's becoming more and more like that Big Sam type of person. Uh,
Yeah,
Roy just brings order to anything he joins, but nothing more. I completely agree. Keep company and Burnley did get hammered by Man City about a month ago. Yeah. Hoiberg is being found out with Benchanko to clean up his mess. Being found out without Mancho. I completely agree with this particular comment as well. Like he looks poor without Bentancur. I think
I
Slot could
agree.
turn
Yeah.
Hill into a sensational player. What do you think
Sorry.
about this one? Robbie, what do you think about this one? Slot could turn Hill into a sensational player. Do you agree with this?
I don't know. I've got to be honest. Probably not. I think Hill's not really suited to the Premier League. It's not really his fault. But yeah, I mean, we've seen a few times. Like I say, I'd loan him out to another club, maybe bring him back to Spurs. But I doubt that it works. If I'm honest, always willing to give him a chance. And I'm sure if Onslaught came in as the manager, he'd give him a chance. But for me, Hill's just not really adapted to the Premier League. I don't think many managers in this league could turn him into a good player. I mean, if he stays at Sevilla, he can continue doing a great job there. He's played really well there, just like Lamella has as well. I think some players are just suited more to leagues and certain styles of play, and Hill's one of those for me.
Yeah, man. Wait, them there. What WTF does that mean? Fam, blood. This generation are morons. What are you talking about, man? What this generation are morons? What are you referring to? Can you please clarify? I don't know what you mean there, bro. Um. So where do you think do you stand in terms of the scoring prediction? Uh, the Palace game. Do you think we can win?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We could very easily turn up and put a few past Palace because of the quality we've got up top. But then I just don't believe in us at all right now. I could see it being maybe a 1-1. If it is a 1-1, Spurs score early, Palace stay in the game, score a late one, or it could be one of those where Palace score one and get 10 men behind the ball. So I'm gonna go with 1-1. I'm gonna go with 1-1. Be
1-1.
slightly more positive, but that's not even good enough. But like I say, I don't really care about if we get points this season, whether we get Champions League. I think the Europa League could be honestly more suited for us. At least as competition, we have a
Okay,
chance of winning.
Europa
I'd rather
League
be in
this
that.
season. Sorry to cut you off there, bro. Do you think Europa
No
League this
worries.
season would be until the sixth spot is still Europa League, right? Like let's say if Man United were to get top four, then there'll be an extra spot for Europa League, if I'm not mistaken, because they
Yeah,
sorry, if Man United or Man City were to both, yeah, they are both in the FA Cup final. So if either
I
one of
think
them
so.
were to win it, then the FA Cup Europa League would come in and all that. Uh, yeah, he's talking about expressions, destruction of the English language is what I don't really watch him, so I can't comment on that much. Now we'll win this
It's
game. Yeah,
fair enough.
I think we will win this game 2-1 probably. That's my scoring prediction. Uh, And yeah, you were saying something about destruction of the English. What is that? Because I don't watch expressions much. Maybe you can tell us about a bit
I
about it.
think it's just because he says a lot of fam and blood. Like I say, I personally don't speak like that, but I don't really care how people speak. I judge them for the person they are and if I find them humorous or not and funny. And I think expressions is quite funny. I think with Troops from Arsenal Fan TV, I've never really got the hype about him. I think he
Oh, that guy
says it
is
in a much
that guy is a bit more
I
like.
think he just says it in a much more aggressive way and just like a bit. He comes across, excuse my language, like a bit of the tosspot, whereas expressions doesn't really come across like that. Yeah, okay, sometimes he talks absolute cobblers, but he's there more humorous, and whilst he's getting annoyed, he's making these funny jokes at the same time. So it's sort of in a way there for the entertainment, but I can understand what that guy means. Fair enough, he's not for everyone.
Yeah, man. I mean that guy. I hardly watch him. The other thing since you mentioned about Troops, oh man, that guy is just like that particular channel is just like the Troops one is that yeah, you just watch two guys shouting at each other and drinking and eating. Like all I do, Troops and another guy, another dwarf that he has. Sorry, sorry. My apologies. I should have said that. But that guy, when they're just sitting there, you just see the two of them like you just see the two of them eating and drinking and smoking and all that you see on Troops channel. Like, I, oh sorry man, that one that those two dudes are really funny in my opinion. And yeah, what's the point? I was
um,
saying, yeah, I couldn't care less what happens now as the will follow up this season before it even starts. I completely agree. Session is an idiot. He's for teenagers. Sorry, I mean you shouldn't be saying that he's for teenagers because Robbie's a teenager as well. I don't think he rates him that highly. He's for likes and subs. So yeah, it's kind of biased. Some teenagers are, to me, I think some teenagers make more sense than adults these days. Like some channels, I won't name names at the moment now. Not in the mood. One day I would name names when I do a proper calling out show. But yeah, some channels like really doesn't make sense to me. In fact, some teenagers make more sense to me. Like that's why when I speak to people like Robbie, people like Harry, people like Dan, to me they make much more sense with their opinions than the others. But I guess that's about it. Robbie, are there any final comments or final thoughts that you would like to say?
no, look, I'll end it in a Brian Daigle type way. Hopefully, we get a result against Palace. But first off, I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure coming on. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you do want to check me out, Lily White Lane on YouTube, all sorts of Spurs content. But guys, keep supporting the Elias, keep supporting the lads that come on this channel. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to come on this show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And as always, Levy and Enoch out.
I think Brian Diggle something say something like Levy out. And as always, Levy out. And yeah, by the way,
Yeah,
guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys check out Lily White Lane. The link is in the description
thank
there
you.
as well, and as well as in the title. So I guess Robbie is just like 660, like 60 subs away from about 60 or 58 subs away from his 1,000 subs. And Robbie, I don't think you do live shows, right? You mostly do like vlogs and recorded videos, right?
More sorts of more recorded videos than lives, mate. But I do want to get on the lives a little bit more, and I'd love to have you on a show. I've got a few comments for people asking me to get guests on for it. I did 3 episodes. It was called White Hart Lounge. I did one with I think Brian Daigle and Stell and Bob Spare, and that was really good fun. So I'll have to start that up again. And like I said, I'd love to have you on as a guest. But look, it's been a real pleasure coming on tonight. And yeah, really
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this show as well. I mean, I really love discussing things with you. I've watched you a few times on other shows, and I would say really it's a pleasure to have you on this time. And I would love to be on your show as well when you restart it. And big up to every single one of you in the comments, guys. If you haven't already, please,
Yeah,
please, please go check out Lily White Lane. He's kind of like few away from 1,000 subs as well. And then once his channel is monetized, then yes, when the channels get monetized, they do tend to do really well. Because then you have the money to buy all the equipments, buy all those
yeah.
subscriptions and all that haps your channel. So support this guy out, guys. Really like I'm putting the link in the comments as well for those of you who may not be that tech savvy. Robbie's channel.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so guys, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to Lily White Lane and support this guy. Really, I mean, I love speaking to him, and I had a really good conversation today uh, on different topics, and I would say that he's really very good with his discussions. I
Cheers.
really appreciate. So please, guys, go and do hit the likes and subscribes there. Do check out his videos. I know some of us, we when we subscribe to channel, we just subscribe, but yeah, do check out some of the videos as well. It really helps in the growth of the channel as well. Like when you check out the video, make sure you guys hit the likes and the comments as well. Let me know how did I do on this show as well. And by the way, guys, if you haven't already, I just made the title there. Spurs preseason tour happening in Singapore. If any of you guys are coming to Singapore, and you want to visit Malaysia, let me know. Get in touch with me. You have my email. You can get in touch with me on my socials. I would love to connect with you guys if any of you want to drop by to Malaysia, because Singapore and Malaysia is just like 5 hours, actually 1 hour drive away from each other. So if any of you are coming for the preseason tour in Malaysia, do get in touch with me. I would love to meet you guys here in Malaysia. And as always, Levy out.
Leave you out.
Come on, you Spurs. Stay
Don't
strong, stay Spurs. We'll see you next time. I'm out of here.